Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Loving Kindness class here at the Dharma Bum Temple. My name is Alex. It's wonderful to be here with you today, or tonight, I should say. Um, let's get started. So, as you know, if you're new, if you're new, you wouldn't know. But if you are new, go ahead and in the chat box, just say something, say hello, say your name, say where you're from. If you're not new, say hello anyway. I'd love to hear from you. Even though I really like being by myself and, I like a lot of solitude generally, it still helps, community and Sangha are still incredibly important. And I absolutely understand the importance of that. So, hello anyway. I got a couple of smart asses. I love it. All right. So hi, Jean, and hi, Eric, and hi, Jesse. Wonderful to see all of you. Yeah, so even I get a little stir crazy sometimes, especially the last few days. I've kind of haven't been out and about really as much. So hi, Jennifer, and hi, Marisa. Thank you for your little Meet the Kitty Cat videos on Facebook. I just kind of watched a couple of those, I think earlier today, or was it last night? Something like that. I can't remember. The kitty cats certainly like you. So this is a loving kindness class. It doesn't look like that we have anybody here who's brand new. But even though, it's always good to hear the words of the Buddha. And if I haven't read the Dharma in a while and I go and I pick up the Dharma and I can really pick it up and I'll open it up to any page. I have a lot of books. I have a lot of the Pali Canon. I have a lot of books from Tom Jeff, as we saw in the Dharma Bum Temple Library. I have a lot of other people's books. And I can just pick one of those up, especially one of the Pali Canon books, and just kind of open it up to some sort of random page, and always get something out of it, right? Because as the Buddha has 84,000 teachings, and all of them have one topic: suffering and its end. So whatever sutra I open it up to, it's always about suffering and its end. So I always get a lot out of it. And one of the ways that we can do this is from reading the Metta Sutra, or the Buddha's Discourse on Loving Kindness. And so I'm going to read that right now. I think it's a good way to kind of start off this class tonight. And it goes, "This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, Free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. And I love reading this. I really do. And one of the reasons that I love reading this is because I get something new like every single time. And it informs a lot of the way that I do this practice, whether I do it myself or whether I lead this practice with you. For example, a lot of times traditionally we like to say phrases when we're doing this loving kindness meditation, like "May I be happy," "May I be safe," and all those other types of phrases, and those are wonderful to do. Those are fine. Those are very traditional. But I forget who the monk was, and I don't know if it was Tanjef. I don't know, it was some other monk. I think it was some other monk who just says, you know what? Just radiate kindness, because it says so right in the Metta Sutta. Radiate kindness is radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. And I love that word, unbounded, because unbound is actually what nirvana means. Nirvana means not bound or unbound. And so omitting none. So everyone, everything, all living beings. And so when I read this, it also says a little bit later, this is said to be the sublime abiding by not holding to fixed views. So when you have a heart full of loving kindness, you don't have any opinions. You don't have any fixed views that cause suffering, because it can't. Suffering can't exist in a loving heart. Those two things they're not compatible. You're just pushing out all the suffering when you don't have any fixed views and you have this wonderful heart of loving kindness. And so to say that in the sutra right here, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. And so this is the path of freedom as well as mindfulness and all the other practices that we have here in Buddhism. And so I like that, and I like to think about that as a path to freedom. And so that was that. All right, who else has said hello? Oh, no, nobody else. That's it. Okay. All right. So for the other people who are there, hello. We're going to do this meditation, and then on loving kindness, I'm going to guide it, and it's going to be awesome. So we also have the opportunity afterwards, not only for questions about Buddhism or whatever questions you want to ask, but also about your experience of meditation. And it's really helpful to talk about your experience of meditation, whether your experience was just, hey, this was really helpful to me and calm and peaceful, or this is really difficult for me, or anything else in between. This is how this is, in the online world, because we have to do everything, online these days. This is how we kind of build Sangha, and this is what this kind of Sangha sharing is like. And so I would love to hear, after we do the meditation, any feedback on the instructions, any feedback on what your personal experience of meditation was like. I would love to know what that is. And if you have any questions about Buddhism or anything else that's relevant, I would love to hear those too. All right, so let's get started go into our meditation position. There we go. All right. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure that you have that position that's nice and comfortable for you, nice and sustainable, so you're not likely to move around a whole lot, so you can really concentrate on your practice of loving kindness. A wonderful recollection is when you sit, and when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourself as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. Your acorn tree, your eucalyptus tree, your ficus tree, your sequoia, your redwood tree of enlightenment, whatever it is for you. You can make up your own tree. Calm and peaceful. Ready for this wonderful abiding of metta, loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, and goodwill. And so begin. Let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing the breath, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural at first. Calming the mind and calming the body. Don't even worry about my words. Just let my words just kind of wash over you as you sit focused, mindful, alert. Just for the first few moments of this meditation, just rest as gently as you can in the sensations of the breath. And so to begin our practice of loving kindness, we'll start with a benefactor. And a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love and great kindness. Someone who it's really easy to do this practice for. And you just picture them in your mind's eye. And you start to radiate loving kindness to them. Radiate in however you understand that word. I like to picture a beam of loving kindness going from my heart to theirs, and so we're connected. And this beam is different colors, and it's pulsating, and it's warm, and it feels good. And I'm smiling, and they're smiling. And they're able to receive all of my loving kindness, and I'm able to give all of my loving kindness to them. You can have one or more benefactors. They can be living or not. And so just for the next few moments, we'll do this practice for our benefactor. And now shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for a benefactor to now imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. And so you can just, again, picture them in your mind's eye and then picture that same beam of loving kindness, or however you understand the radiate loving kindness to you. Your only job is to receive this loving kindness into your own heart. And sometimes it helps to put your hand over your heart. And so in this way, it helps to receive this loving kindness, and it also detects when there's any resistance. If there's any resistance, that's okay. It's not a problem. Don't push that resistance away. Just feel it. And see if you can maybe take a deep breath all the way in and out, loosening that tightness in your heart. Even smiling, because that helps so much, especially in this meditation. Letting as much of that loving kindness into your own heart as you can. And just be okay with however much you can let in. And if something relaxes naturally, then it does. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. So for the next few minutes, we'll imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And now for probably the most important part of this meditation, we can now do this practice for ourselves. And we can either radiate loving kindness into our own heart, or we can imagine our heart getting bigger and warmer, making room for as many people as you possibly can. Or you can just even say phrases like, may I be happy, may I be safe from inner and outer danger, may I be well in body and mind, may I be at peace and live at ease in this world. You can say one or more of those phrases, or any phrase that has a loving and a kind intention behind it will work. You can even put one or both hands on your heart when you do this. This feels really good. And so we'll do this loving kindness practice now for ourselves. And then finally, we can do this practice for all beings in all directions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. We can explore the limitless quality of our heart and having loving kindness and metta for all beings, whatever beings there may be. Spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. And we'll do this to end our meditation. Just open your eyes when you're ready. Just take the next moment or two out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs. Keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness about you. And we will get started in about 45 seconds. And if you have any questions, any comments, I would love to hear them. You can type them into the chat box. and we'll have something to talk about. All right, everybody. Well, that was certainly good for me. It was what was really interesting for me in that meditation is that at the beginning of this class, I felt myself being sniffly and like just being really just, like the first 5-10 minutes of the meditation, like being really bothered by like sniffling and stuff like that. Not that, of course, it happened during, but after a certain period of time, my body just seemed to calm down. And they said, well, you can sniffle later if you want to. And I kind of, my sinuses just kind of cleared up, and I was able to concentrate on not only my own meditation, but leading this meditation. So I always think about those things as, yes, I was sniffly, but I wasn't worried about being sniffly. And I just tried to do my meditation. And then after a little bit of time, hey, it just kind of goes away. And it kind of speaks to Eric's point in the chat where he says the phrase unburdened by duties stood out to me in the sutra. And this is a common theme in a lot of meditation that we do in Buddhism, unburdened by duties, frugal in their ways. And it means not, being, because, most people are lay people, they're not monks, all right, who spend all their time meditating and, doing whatever they need to be doing. But, but of course it applies to monks because he's talking to monks. But for us, what the Buddha also talks about, like in the Satipatthana Sutra, is very much the same thing about, whatever you're worried about before you sit in meditation, your work and your family and your kids and your, whatever else that might be going on in your life, as much as you can, you need to let that go, even temporarily. Even temporarily, you have to be as unburdened with your duties as you can. And whatever you feel that you have to do, all of these things that are keeping you anchored to, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, that undoubtedly are causing you a lot of suffering. And that's what families do. They cause a lot of suffering. My family has caused me a lot of suffering, and I'm sure I've caused my family a lot of suffering. It goes both ways. And so as much as you can, and even with monks, monks have duties too. And they have to do things too, and to live as simply as humanly possible. So you can concentrate, because there's only one thing that matters, right? Freedom of the mind. Your freedom matters. Nirvana matters, and what you have to do to get there matters. If you're not there, then you're not done. And I think a lot of that's kind of what he's saying in not only the loving kindness meditation, but also the mindfulness meditation as well. And the great thing about these meditations and the sutras is that they all kind of go by this formula. They say, hey, you've got to do this, but if you do this, hey, here are some rewards of what's going to happen. And the rewards are at the end of the sutra right here. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one having clarity of vision is not born again into this world. And Jennifer asks, can you also expand on nirvana? And I'm reading the book Buddhism by Houston Smith, who explains nirvana as to extinguish. would love to better understand the idea. And, it is to extinguish. And, suffering, when um, in the tale of the Kalamas, and this is one of the sutras, he's talking to these people called the Kalamas, and and the Kalamas are a group of new converts, and these new converts, because they were like Hindu based or Vedic based. There was no Hindu then, like Vedic based, what we would know as Hindu based. They were fire worshippers, and that's what they did, and they were really attached to worshiping fire. And um, so the Buddha is thinking, like, I have to give them a sermon, right? But I have to explain, um, and I have to explain this so that they're not so attached to fire, right? And so he came up with this thing. It's very, very famous. It's called the Fire Sutra. And he says, Kalamas, everything is burning. Eye consciousness is burning. Everything we can see with our eyes is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of greed, hatred, delusion. And then he goes on to talk about the mind. Everything that you can, think about with the mind is burning. Everything that you can hear is burning. Everything that you can taste is burning. Everything that you can feel is burning. Everything that you can smell is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of greed and hatred and delusion. And so the Buddha turns this metaphor of fire into something to avoid, right? And if you extinguish this fire, then that is one way to look at nirvana. And another way to look at it is and how do you make fire? Well, you make fire with fuel, and you make fire with a match, you know, something to light the fire, to light the fuel. And the fuel is, I forget which one is which, but because I have to think about it. But what he's trying to say is, when we're talking about nirvana, we're talking about like the fuel is not bound to the catalyst, or the flame is out, because we're not giving it any fuel anymore. These things that we can hear and taste and touch, right? Right. We're not attached to it, so that they're thereby kind of extending the fire, making the fire go, making the fire bigger, because that's what we do when we get attached to things, and we get worried about our families and our kids and our jobs and all these different types of things. It just makes the fire get bigger, right? And so we need to extinguish the fire, right? And so that's kind of what this metaphor of fire is talking about. And it's a wonderful sutra. And if we have, and I could even talk about this, once I get a little kind of up on it again. I haven't read it in a little bit, but it's always a good one to read. It's always a good one to think about, and so that's what the Buddha talks about a lot of times. Like, you have to be alert at all times when you're going along, or you're driving, or whatever you're doing during the day. It doesn't matter in what posture of meditation, whether seated or seated, standing up, walking, lying down, the four kind of positions of meditation. You always have to be alert. You always have to be alert for these things that can cause fires. Like something that you hear that you don't like, something that you hear that you love and are attached to and just want to hear more of. And all of the senses, all of the six senses, and the mind is and thoughts, and the mind is one of the senses as well. So all of these things, he's saying that these can cause suffering at any time. At any time. And if you are alert, and if you are mindful and aware and ardent, And if you keep on bringing yourself back to the present, if you keep on saying, oh, hey, I've created a fire here, and you bring yourself back to the present moment and you temporarily extinguish that fire. If you keep on doing that, you can be free. So it's a wonderful sutra. It's a wonderful metaphor, which I like, and that anybody could understand that. Anybody could understand that. So I like that part of the sutra. And the great thing about this sutra that kind of Eric pointed out was that you can take any part of that and really kind of break it down and just kind of talk about that part of it. And so the Buddha often talks about being unburdened with duties and frugal in your ways, not to have too much stuff going on, because too much stuff is just more fires, the potential for more fires. All right. So again, questions about anything you want to ask a question about. It doesn't really matter, does it? I would love to hear what your experience of this meditation was like. That's always interesting to me. Or any other questions that you may have. I like Houston Smith. He's pretty awesome, and so he has a few books out there. This meditation generally prompts a lot of emotion for me. Tonight was no different, and it was greatly needed and a very, very beneficial release. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Marisa. I really appreciate it. Anybody else? What else is going on with you guys today? Was there any part of this meditation that was easier or more difficult or that brought up a lot of emotion? That would be interesting. That would be interesting to know about. Did you find yourself just kind of nodding off and just kind of listening to my voice and not even paying attention necessarily? That would be interesting to know. Because I know a lot of times, I can only get so into the meditation because I have to be aware of what I'm saying and when I'm saying it. And, I tend to be very, exact when it comes to when I say what. I have my timer, my phone right here, and I have my timer going, my stopwatch going, and I know that at 5 minutes I start this, and at 11 minutes I start this, and at 16 minutes I start this. 17 minutes I start this, and on all those different types of things, and which is fine. I don't. That's just kind of how I am. I tend to be a little more, a little bit left brain sometime about this. Although I could stand to loosen up some, but it's helpful. But what that doesn't allow me to do is to really, enjoy the meditation myself as much as I could, because I always have to think about, when I'm going to say what. Allergies from Santa Ana winds, Gene. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. Holy cow! Because I have a lot of allergies, and I didn't even think that, nor did I even know that we had a Santa Ana wind, to be perfectly honest. So maybe that's what I was kind of going through too. And yes, that does make me feel a little dull as well, as long with you. So you and me both, my friend. You and me both. It does make me feel a little bit dull because I've been feeling a little dull the last couple of days. And it's weird that um, yeah, technical difficulties and frustrations. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Tamara. Um, and I was going to say something, but yeah, it's weird though because I started kind of feeling this way like yesterday, and I'm like, because I always worry about like, well, hey, is this COVID? Is this COVID? Because I've been, I'm relatively careful, but it doesn't matter how relatively careful you are, it can still happen. So, but no, that's just allergies. I can still taste things, and I'm not flu-like. And so Jesse says, I appreciate you bringing attention to the potential difficulties in receiving loving kindness. I found that very helpful. And I'm glad you did, Jesse. I'm really glad you did, because a lot of times I feel when we're in meditation, and whether we're meditating by ourselves or whether we're letting ourselves be guided into meditation, and we come across a difficulty, I think we often just feel like we're the only ones, or I'm doing this wrong, or whatever, especially I'm doing this wrong. And sometimes we translate that into I'm wrong because I'm doing this wrong. And if you run up across this is really, really normal. And I just wish more people would understand that. And I'm happy to tell you every single time with the with a world of patience that this is completely normal. And you're gonna run into this all the time. So just be with it and you'll be okay. You do sometimes improvise with your instruction during meditation. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do change it up a lot more than I used to, that's for sure. One time, somebody told me, Alex, I know what you're gonna say and when you're gonna say it. And sometimes when you improvise, I'm like, you're not supposed to say that. You don't say that at this time. You say this at this time, which I thought was hilarious because I would, I would probably behave the exact same way. Hey, you don't say this at this time. You say this instead. Um, adopting a dog, Eric. I think it has some good psyche and heart benefits. You know what? Everybody in this complex where I live, it's like 184. It's like a big condo complex. When I moved in here, like freaking everybody had a dog. Like everyone is walking their dog, and you hear dogs barking. I mean, not a ton. It's not really a distraction. My upstairs neighbor had my. I'm sorry. I'm upstairs. My downstairs neighbor has a dog. My across the way neighbor has a dog, and I see people walking their dogs constantly, like everywhere. And the shelters, are. I think it's difficult these days to get a dog from the shelter just because all the dogs were taken. You hear about that a lot of times on Facebook about dogs. There are no dogs these dogs because everyone adopted them. It does make me a little bit worried that after COVID, people are going to get sick of their dogs because they don't need them anymore, and put them all back. So that makes me a little nervous. But I'm glad people are getting dogs. It has a lot of good benefits. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I fostered some dogs for a little bit of time. Um, and I thought about getting a dog myself. So not just you. And simplifying the life is always good. I remember, um, yeah, anytime you can simplify your life, notice how much easier it is for you, because it certainly was like that for me. Oh, it feels good. I feel good now. All right, guys, anything else before we go today? I don't have to, that's okay. Thank you, guys. It was wonderful to be here with you today. Love doing this. I love being here with you. I look forward to the time when I could see your bright and shiny faces and give all of you a big hug. But until then, we'll have to do it this way. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion, be received by all beings. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that we are. That was loud. Thank you for coming. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday and the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. I love you all. Bye-bye now. Have a lovely evening too.